morning, everyone. Good day. Welcome to our business opportunities in Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia. We're excited that you could join us. We've got a lot of speakers on today, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things. So I'm not going to delay. We're going to get started. And thank you all again for joining us. So we're going to be talking about these very vibrant, very dynamic, but very specific markets, so Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia, and how U.S. commercial services can bring you information, get you leads, generate, really be the big helping hand that U.S. commercial service can be. And with that, they also have a trade mission going to these markets. And again, Diego and his team will be talking a little bit about how we can all participate in that, how you can participate if you'd like to, what that means, and so on. So while the last of you are just logging on, I can see a couple of you still logging on there, perhaps I'll just introduce ourselves very briefly. So as I said, we have a lot of people on today's call, but it's a very structured call, a webinar with a lot of information in it. Before you ask, we will be sending you a recording of the webinar, as well as the slide deck. If you'd like the slide deck, let us know. We'll send you the slide deck separately. So my name is Susanna Hardy, and I'm Chief Content Officer at a company called IBT Online. I'll say who we are in a second. We have 4 people here from U.S. Commercial Service, and really amazing to have them all from the various countries. Kayla in Costa Rica, Lisa in Bogota, Colombia, and Tim in Panama City. And of course, Diego Gatesco, who's probably known to many of you already. He is one of the big sort of champions of Central and Latin America and the helping hand that one needs for America's exporters. He's the senior international trade specialist for the U.S. Commercial Service and the team leader for those markets. So again, we're really excited to have everyone here today. I will let each one introduce themselves separately when they talk about their individual countries, the business opportunities you can find in those markets. And then Diego's also going to talk a little bit about the trade mission and give you an overall picture. Before I do that, just also to say that sort of U.S. Commercial Service, Diego introduced that. But who's IBT Online? What are we? So we're, as I said, we're a private company, a U.S. company with our headquarters in Florida, and we do 2 things. We build websites, small, medium, large, e-commerce enabled, not whatever it is, and we do online marketing, very light or huge online marketing. And we're known for 2 things in particular: small mid-cap companies and helping those companies in particular, and international. So our 4 points of our compass: international, mid-cap, website build, and online marketing. So if you have an interest in this, please get in touch with us. If you'd like to reach more, learn more about us, feel free. We've done a lot of work, and we have something called online global programs for a lot of different countries and a lot of different states in the US. I'm going to let you watch the video in your spare time if you have an interest in it, and go onto our website and reach us and discover more about us. As I said, we have online global programs across the United States, which are these website and online marketing programs for America's exporters, and they are very often backed by stat grants. So that's us. Our agenda today. Diego's going to talk a little bit about U.S. Commercial Service and what that means overall, also for Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia. And then Tim's going to walk through some of the big business opportunities, but also the challenges in Panama. Kayla's going to look at Costa Rica. Again, the business opportunities. What are the big challenges that she's seeing on the ground? And Lisa's going to talk to us about Colombia, the biggest of the markets of those 3, 4th largest in Latin America, very vibrant, and there's a lot of business opportunities, but also some challenges. We thought we'd also give you some information about some of the online tools that we're seeing working really well in Latin America, and also drill down into a little chapter about how you prepare for a trade show or a trade mission. And with that, that segues nicely as Diego's going to talk to us about the mission details. We've left some time at the end for Q&A. Please pop them into the chat box. If we don't get to them today, we will get back to you in by email or however during the week in due course. So don't feel far. We're very cognizant that time is precious. We really appreciate that you've taken the time out of your day. So let's make the most out of it. Ask the questions that you want to, engage, sit back and learn and listen and enjoy. As I said, you don't have to take notes, you get a recording of it all later. So over to you, Diego.
Thank you, Susana, and thank you for organizing this event, for your partnership, and also for your support for the upcoming trade mission to Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia. So the U.S. Commercial Service, I'm again Diego Gatesco. I'm the director of the U.S. Export Assistance Center in Wheeling, West Virginia. That's one hat, and I'm also the Trade Americas team leader, which is another hat. We do have 22 global teams in the U.S. Commercial Service. There are 5 regional teams and 17 industry-specific teams. So Trade America is one of those regional teams that we have, and it's organized along with the post this trade mission. So the U.S. Commercial Service will help you to connect to global markets. So if you have not heard from us before, we can connect you with potential business overseas. You're going to hear today from Panama, from Colombia, and Costa Rica, but we have offices in 80 countries. You're going to see in a minute, but we can help you here in the U.S. field. You actually going to get the sense of, okay, you're going to hear from the U.S. field, you're going to hear from Washington, you're going to hear from our offices overseas as well. So you're going to kind of see the network that we have to help you. We can go from expert counseling, like helping you with market research. The matchmaking is actually what we're going to be doing with the trade mission and the business conference. Going to get a lot of these in one place as if you join us. So we can help you in the entire exporting process, from are you ready to export to getting export financing or getting advocacy if you're going to apply for a tender overseas, for example. So it's a lot in between, but you can connect with us and we can help you with that. The next slide shows you a little bit where we are in the world. But one important thing on the next slide, Susan, is the link at the bottom. So if you have not worked with us or you're unsure who we are, click on that link. I think it's going to be on the chat as well, and see the closest office to your location. So you're going to be able to connect with me if you're in West Virginia or my colleagues across the country, and to talk about your interest in exporting. So you're going to hear a little bit about why Panama, why Colombia, why Costa Rica, and why are we doing this trade mission later on in the presentation. Thank you again. We'll join, follow up. Susan, I'll go back to you for the first presenter.
Thank you, Diego. Why don't we just ask everybody right now, in fact, if they have, we're going to be learning about these specific markets and the trade missions, but what about the other services that Diego mentioned? If you'd like to learn more about some of the other services offered by U.S. Commercial Service that Diego listed there, let us know through the poll, and we'll someone from team will either get back to you, or we'll send you some resources, send you some blogs, whatever it is that we have appropriate or whatever. And I have to say thank you very much for being so quick on the button and for responding so well there. Thank you on that poll. Yes, so thank you very much. Okay, I'll close the poll now, and thank you. And we're let's look at Panama. Let's start with Panama. Tim.
Okay, great. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Diego. So I'm Tim Cannon. I'm the commercial officer in Panama City, Panama. I've been here for a little over 2 years. And so I thought we would just talk about some of the things that Panama holds. As Susanna mentioned, we have some opportunities. We also have some challenges, as every country does. So Panama is a home to a vibrant economy facilitated mostly by the canal, with ports on both oceans, and it's one of the most connected countries in Central America, and they call it the bridge to the Americas. But the Panamanian economy is fascinating because part of it is reliant on services. The banking and services are a big part of the economy here. We've had strong growth recently and are recovering from the pandemic, but I would be remiss if I didn't speak about some civil unrest that we've had recently, which we'll talk about the economies. It was expected to grow by 9%, which has been lowered down now to about 6 to 7%, because we had about 6 weeks of civil unrest due to a mining project that agreement was signed by the Panamanian government. But back to the strengths, air and maritime logistics. The hub of the export here is the canal, 180 routes connecting 160 countries, and going through the canal saves about 7,600 miles. While it's very expensive to go through the canal, it does save a lot of time for shippers. Most of the largest users of the canal are gas and fuel, and the U.S. accounts for about 72% of all transits through the canal. And again, as LNG was one of the biggest things. The canal has been suffering a drought, as the rest of Panama is, but it's not widely known that the Panama Canal runs on fresh water. So fresh water is pulled from Lake Gatun and Rio Chagres and put into the locks. Then the locks are filled up, the ship transits, they release it out again, and then do it over and over. So it's reliant on freshwater supply here. The amount of ships that have been going through is normally about 32 ships a day. And now we're in February, they're going to lower it down to 17 to 18 ships a day. So struggling there, but the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is working with the canal. ACP is the name of the canal, the Panama Canal Authority, to address this problem of fresh water. Again, since we're the largest one, user of the canal, $17 billion in bilateral trade in goods and services used through the canal. So on to trade promotion agreement, we have a TPA with Panama, and this lowered all the tariffs from up as high as 87% to zero, or as high as 90% to zero for most products. Agriculture still seems to suffer some from tariffs, but we are working on that. We do have a dollarized economy, so you can use US money here. And good thing with that is it slows the risk of inflation and also no exchange loss. Again, we talked about the economy earlier. That's been lowered, the GDP, but $136 billion. Some of the challenges for 2024 is 2024 is an election year, and that will come around in May, and the entire government will switch over. So everybody changes from the president on through the ministries. Everybody changes and is out, and a whole new system will come in. What that means for businesses and our office as well is we have to start getting to know the new people again, building rapport and contacts. And then those people are also learning their jobs for that first year. And so next year will be a tough year, I think, in trade. But we are working, with the government here to help with that. We're still high in corruption in Panama. The last index was 105 out of 180, but that is also improving. And the fiscal debt and non-payment issues can be a problem here in Panama. Public education is one of the biggest problems. There's a lack of infrastructure, pay, connectivity services, supplies, and teachers. And then unemployment, while it was very high for a while, has dropped down, and that is improving, but still a little high for the area. We go to the next slide, please. So Panama Opportunities, the digital hub strategy is a good area to look into if you're in the ICT area. With 4G access, we still run 3G, 4G here, but they are looking to be 5G as soon as possible. Cybersecurity is an opportunity. E-commerce is definitely an opportunity here. So the SIM is incentives for multinational. It's an organization like AmCham or Panama Chamber of Commerce that works with small to medium enterprises and multinational companies to establish tax breaks, Social Security, and they're working to increase the number of foreign employees you're allowed to hire here, which is good news for U.S. companies. IMA is another one that works to establish manufacturing in the country. Like I mentioned before, Panama is very reliant on services, and they need manufacturing and other types of industry here. Panama's economy is heavily service oriented. We've talked about that. The financial service, tourism is a huge opportunity here. Costa Rica does a great job of advertising what they have as far as beaches, and everybody knows those commercials. Panama has the exact same thing. It's amazing. You can be on the Pacific side, and in an hour you can be on the Atlantic side in the Caribbean. So it's pretty amazing that you can get to two oceans in one day. Again, we've mentioned some other areas, but important sectors here include commerce, insurance, healthcare, professional services, and again, we're looking at opportunities for them for manufacturing. And then the last one is really media and entertainment. The elections in Panama will be in May, as I said, and the television industry, radio are all putting money into their technology for the upcoming election. Film industry is fairly popular here. A lot of films are done here, and it's becoming a wider place for the media industry. Some upcoming things for, next slide, please. Oh, I also want to mention that Panama is a fairly green economy, and they were working on completely carbon negative. Their green transformation, they're limiting one-use plastic bags. They're declaring a lot of the areas marine reserves and forest reserves, and they hosted the Our Oceans conference last year as well. So that's an area to look at in opportunities as well. So the biggest thing coming up lately is Expo Comer, which is in conjunction all at the same time with Expo Logistica and Expo Turismo, March 5 through 7th. So this will be right before the trade mission comes to Panama, and could be an opportunity if you want to come down early, if you're going to join us here for the trade mission, to attend that show. And that's the biggest show in the region that I know of. Some of the shows that we create, that we recruit for in Panama and take people to the US is the World of Concrete, which will be at the end of this month as well. Cosmoprof in Miami, the National Association of Broadcasters, the International Powwow Show, and the National Restaurant Association Show, and Apex in Las Vegas in November of next year. So as Susanna said, I'd be happy to answer questions. I think if you go back to the first slide, you'll see our team here and all of our email addresses and contact information. So while there will be a question and answer for Panama at the end as well, we're happy to be in touch if you have any other questions, maybe specifically to your business or industry. We can help answer those. Okay. Thank you, Susanna. Back to you, I think.
Thank you very much, Tim. Just while we're on, if anyone wants to drop in a note and saying whether they're interested in learning more about Panama and the business opportunities that Tim was going through, let us know. We're happy to, Tim and his team can circle back in due course. What I also wanted to ask you, Tim, I know that you sit in Panama City. by the way, thank you very much for responding to the poll. I'm going to close that. Thank you, Tim. You sit in Panama City. You know the culture so well. One of the things I hear about a lot is WhatsApp, and I wanted to ask you WhatsApp.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you what you see as a business guy, as someone doing business. If you've got an American exporter, does he need WhatsApp?
You need WhatsApp. This city runs on WhatsApp, right? So while the ambassador gets to meet with the president and vice president and the higher ups, we meet with the ministers. And oftentimes it's all by WhatsApp. And everybody uses WhatsApp to communicate personally and business-wise. So my advice, Susanna, would be before you even think about coming here, if you're not on WhatsApp, download it, because it's a lifeline here for sure.
Thank you very much, because I also wanted to highlight what that actually means and just a couple of the details about the Panama online world. So if you're looking to do business in Panama or recruit in-market partners or distributors and things, the world today is also online. You need to make sure that your online assets working hard for you. Your websites, your social media, your apps, do you have the right ones? Are you communicating in the right way? And these markets, Panama, Costa Rica, Colombia, reflected in fact throughout Central and South America, are very, very plugged in.
Yes.
I thought I'd give you an example here of some stats. January 2023, so a year ago, the population, 4.5 million people. There are 121%, so nearly 5.5 million, so 4.5 million population, nearly 5.5 million mobile phones.
It's not uncommon for people here to have two phones.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So
you have private and the public, and they both have WhatsApp, right, Tim?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So out of 4.5 million, 3.3 are using 74% of the population of Panama are plugged in. And most of them, nearly 3 million, are on social media. And social media, I'll talk about this later, about how they interact on social media in these countries. But a lot of that is on these major big platforms that you all know so well. So I wanted to share this stat as well with you. I know there's a lot of stats here. 92% of the population of Panama, that on lines of 4.5 million people, 92% of them use WhatsApp. So please, if you're looking to communicate, they just don't really like landlines. They don't even really like emails. What they really want is WhatsApp, and there are business account WhatsApps that you should use. And know that people expect you to have a WhatsApp on your business card, on your websites, for your distributors, for your in-market partners. They will search you out through a WhatsApp. They'll want to communicate. And there's even increasingly a social commerce on WhatsApp. So that's a space to watch. We'll come back with more of these things now, but I wanted to ask Kayla if she was there to talk a little bit about Costa Rica in the meantime. Thank you.
Yes, I am here.
Great.
Apologies, how do I turn on my webcam?
Oh, there should be a little thing saying share my webcam.
Oh, there we go. Works. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kayla Savage, and I'm a Central America Desk Officer for the Department of Commerce. I work closely with our senior commercial officers in the region to increase the competitiveness of U.S. companies in Central America and promote the export of U.S. goods and services. Ryan Hollowell, our senior commercial officer in Costa Rica, is on some well-deserved home leave skiing with his toddlers right now. So you all get to hear about opportunities in the Costa Rican market from me today from the Washington perspective. Ryan leads a team of 4 commercial specialists in San Jose that have in-depth expertise in various business sectors. After this presentation, if something piques your curiosity, our teams are prepared to assist you. Now a little bit about Costa Rica. The U.S. is Costa Rica's economic partner of choice, with the U.S. accounting for more than 40% of Costa Rica's total trade and 80% of the country's foreign direct investment. The economy is still rebounding from the COVID-19 pandemic with 4.2% GDP growth in 2023. We have the CAFTA-DR free trade agreement with Costa Rica, and they continue to explore new free trade agreements with markets like Ecuador, Israel, the UAE, and they're also in the process of joining the CPTPP to enhance their economic ties with Asia. You may also hear about Costa Rica's aspirations to join the US-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement, but that's not something that the US government is considering currently. More than 250 US companies call Costa Rica home, and they've created more than 126,000 jobs. So a lot of US companies leverage their operations in Costa Rica to then expand to other markets in Central America and the region more broadly. Costa Rica has a strong legal system and a stable democracy and a large US presence already. Some challenges that US companies encounter is that certain approval processes are overly bureaucratic, and Costa Rica has high debt. Chinese companies also have a very large footprint and often compete with US firms for tenders. If you can switch to the next slide, we'll get into the opportunities in the Costa Rican market for US exporters. I still see the, okay, first slide, there we go. So the first thing I'll share with you all is about ICT and telecommunications. So the use of the internet and accessibility is growing rapidly as technology improves, not just in Panama, but across Central America. We went from 2.1 million internet subscriptions in 2011 to 5.6 million in 2020. 5G is imminently being deployed nationwide, and it's an important topic moving forward as the country evaluates future spectrum auctions. Transportation, there continue to be opportunities to help provide supplies and equipment for the building of roads, airports, railways, and ports in Costa Rica. Automotive is another long-standing sector with plenty of opportunities. The most mature market is the auto parts market, and the most promising is the electric cars and chargers market. So Costa Rica is the first Latin American country to sign a law incentivizing the purchase of electric vehicles through tax breaks. It's important for the US parts market to follow this trend in Costa Rica, as electric vehicles have an average of 200 parts, while combustion engine vehicles have over 1,000 parts. Another key sector of opportunity in Costa Rica is healthcare. Costa Rica has a really robust public and private healthcare system with coverage all over the country. Medical devices, medical equipment, and pharmaceuticals are on the top of the country's imports. Medical tourism is also very important to the economy, which makes the demand of supplies and equipment even more specialized and complex. The other area of opportunity is construction. The construction equipment market potential includes tractors, backhoes, shovel loaders, asphalt, concrete mixers, and dump trucks. US construction equipment has an excellent reputation in the Costa Rican market due to its high quality, the availability of spare parts, and maintenance and repair services through dealerships. We have competitive pricing and reliable ocean and air shipping. The building materials market has been shifting more towards local materials, and imports continue to fall in that space. The lower cost of locally manufactured building materials has fueled the increase in local production. Cosmetics is another area of immense opportunity, specifically in Costa Rica, not only because of the CAFTA-DR, but with a growing middle class, there's a lot of demand for high quality beauty products. Under this agreement, and almost all cosmetic products import duties have been significantly reduced, and registration guidelines have also been reduced down to 1 day for cosmetic products coming in. Lastly, let's talk about renewables, specifically solar energy products. Local production of energy equipment is limited to small products needed for solar panels and water installation. So you're talking cables, metal tubing, valves, water tanks. Because local production is limited, companies and the government look to import renewables. US solar energy exports account for 1/3 of the market and continue to grow. and Chinese companies are our largest competitor in this space. With that, I'll turn it back to Susanna.
Okay, thank you very much. And just like we've actually already had a couple of people texting us some questions, but we'll save those for the end. But just asking similarly if anyone would like particularly to get some connections with the Costa Rica team and some answers and some connection there, let us know. And similar just to what we said for Tim with Panama. And then Kayla, I also, and again, thank you very much for answering on that. I'm gonna close the poll. Kayla, I wanted to ask you as well. I know you're sitting in the Washington side as well, but in your experience in Costa Rica and things and Latin American markets, we talked a little bit with Tim about mobile phones and that, how many people have mobile phones. Is that something you noticed as well when you go?
Yes, absolutely. Everything from communications with the government to day-to-day business operations, making appointments, text, WhatsApp is much more effective and useful for a lot of US companies operating here than email is, which can be a big adjustment for US businesses entering the market, but absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And again, I just wanted to show a little bit about sort of what that means. From an online perspective, these markets are called mobile first markets, all of them. In other words, they discovered, harnessed, embraced the internet via their mobile phone. So you see it sort of trudging along, and once sort of 2006 happens and you start to get interconnected phones on the iPhone and things, that's when the internet really takes off in these markets. And people don't discover them in their workplace. They discover them through mobile phones, sometimes very cheap ones, very cheap data that they can access, and they use that as business tools. We saw in Panama with Tim how the importance of WhatsApp, and Kayla just reiterated that, but more particularly what your buyers and your leads, your prospective buyers are expecting in Costa Rica, similar to Panama, similar to Colombia, is that you're engaged in social media. That includes WhatsApp, that you engage in social media. You have a lot of imagery. Imagery is really important to them, and we'll talk about that a bit later. That there's a strong degree of personalization. So take out the stock images. Doesn't work in Latin America and in Costa Rica. And then a rapid response time. And again, that goes together with the WhatsApp and with all that very mobile enablement. And it's a very different feel to a website and online marketing than, for example, that you're used to in the United States. And these are typical mobile first markets. And again, these stats just say it all for me. Population of Costa Rica is 5 million. There's nearly 8 million phones. And out of 5.2 million, 4.7 are on the internet. So nearly 90% of the population use the internet. And how many babies are there? 90% of the population. And 74% on social media. Again, these are massive statistics. A very, very plugged in place which uses social media and the internet as a way of punching through a lot of the challenges in those industries. And they would expect you to be top in terms of your website and your online marketing, but also very specific to them. And I just wanted to give you an example of the kind of thing that means. And one of the really good things you could do is just use video. It's a really cheap way and an effective way of you gaining access and leads and clickbait in a way and brand awareness in those markets. It's really fantastic. So, they're easy to share. They get great engagement. It really helps conversion rates and is fantastic. So, if nothing else, that's a really good way of boosting your online presence and your videos and sorry, your website. Link them, and you could even just have similar to this. You could have subtitles in Spanish and the rest in English. That's totally acceptable. As long as you have the subtitles that you can add. So they're really, really a strong return on investment for your online marketing site. Right, now let's go on to Colombia. Lisa, if you can weigh in about Colombia, please.
Hi, good afternoon. And thanks so much to IBT and the Trade Americas team for hosting this webinar today. So I'm Lisa White, the commercial attaché based out of the US Embassy here in Bogota, Colombia. And it's my pleasure to speak about my host country today, Colombia, the gateway to South America. So as you can see from this slide, we have a full team of specialists who work to support key industry sectors for US businesses here in Colombia. Because Colombia is such a central hub to Latin America business, we also host the Regional Senior Commercial Officer, Jim Regacio, who oversees the Central America and Andean regions. So about Colombia, to begin, Colombia recently underwent a big shift in politics, electing Gustavo Petro in 2022 to be their president, the first left-wing president in the country's entire history. His priorities are expanding social protection, environmental protection, and energy saving. And he's also worked on social reforms, including health, pension, and labor systems. However, Petro's reform proposals have lagged in Congress. This past October, just 2 months ago, in local and regional elections around the country, voters in the country's major cities favored candidates who are critics of the current administration. So Petro's coalition won governorships in only 2 out of 32 departments, which are kind of like Colombia's counties. So like the rest of the world, Colombia is also dealing with inflation right now and at a higher annual rate than the United States, closing out at 9.73% for 2023 compared to only 4% in the United States. Now, because average monthly income is lower in Colombia, the inflation is hitting harder here. As with choosing any international partners to do business with, there are strengths and there are challenges when considering doing business in Colombia. So to start with the strengths, I will say that Colombia has a stable and growing economy and a growing middle class with purchasing power. In fact, Colombia has the 4th largest economy in Latin America, as Susanna said earlier, after only Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina. It is the 3rd largest population with approximately 51.5 million inhabitants. And just for reference, the landmass of Colombia is about twice the size of Texas. So Colombia really is a country of regions. Bogota is the capital with a population of more than 8 million people, but there are other important cities such as Medellin, Cali, Barranquilla, Bucaramanga, and Cartagena. Colombia is not the same country that it was in the 1990s and the early 2000s, when the country was almost a failed state run by drug traffickers. Although not completely without problems, today Colombia is actually a much more stable and safe country. To illustrate this point, tourism to Colombia has grown rapidly since the mid-2000s, up an astounding 650% from 1995, attracting the notice and investment of US multinationals such as Hilton, Marriott, and other major US airlines such as American, Spirit, JetBlue, and Delta. So the current stability and much improved security conditions have cultivated a more friendly international business environment. The US-Colombia Free Trade Agreement of 2012 eliminated tariffs on approximately 90% of US exports and helped to boost US exports to Colombia in the past years. So in fact, the United States is currently Colombia's #1 business partner with a market share of 25% of their total trade. In 2022, Colombia's total trade with the US amounted to $33 billion. Another plus is that Colombia's economy is diverse with good variety and a big active industry sectors in a variety of areas. So lots of opportunities for international business partnerships. There are also, of course, challenges to working in Colombia, including corruption, bureaucracy, regulatory overreach. Another challenge is that Colombia's geography is a contributing factor to rural underdevelopment and inequity in the country. Although the country's overall stability and security has much improved since the 90s and 2000s, the countryside does continue to suffer from anarchy, and there are a lot of criminal organizations out there still. However, Colombia's urban centers are developed and modern, but they are like islands in the middle of rural landscape that is still underdeveloped due to poor infrastructure. On the plus side, regional flights between urban hubs like Bogota to Cartagena are numerous and cheap. The most recent issue Colombia is facing is the huge influx of Venezuelan migrants, reaching 2.9 million Venezuelans living here today, which has strained the economy. May I have the next slide, please?
Lisa, I'm sorry, I am getting there. I had a major technical issue. But,
oh no.
yeah, but I am back. And getting the next slide in just a jiffy. Whoa, it was tense. Right, so apologies for my, that was tense.
Welcome back, no problem at all. I'll just go ahead and start speaking to it.
Oh, thank you, and I'll get there in a minute.
So I
Right.
did want to talk a little bit about the opportunities available in Colombia. So Colombia's priority sectors are the ICT sector, defense, safety and security, and energy. And this includes oil and gas, as well as renewables, medical devices, infrastructure, automotive, and farm machinery. So there's also opportunities for environmental technologies, especially under the current administration. In fact, Colombia recently became the first South American country to regulate methane emissions from its oil and gas sector. So there are definitely some new opportunities in that area. Education is another prime sector for US business partnerships in Colombia. It's worth noting that Colombia ranks #2 in South America, only after Brazil, for number of students that they enroll in US education programs. So a double-edged sword here, though, is that Colombia has one of the lowest ESL rates in all of Latin America, which means that ESL programs are very popular, but high-level adult or continued education products and services, which are offered only in English, face challenges for market penetration here. So Susanna, are you able to head to the next slide yet? Totally up to you. If it's not sure if it's.
I'm still struggling. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this. Because really, hold on, let's see. That's that one. Nope. Struggling. But
No worries.
wait a second.
I'll
I think
continue.
I know how to do this.
Yeah,
If you
so
could, please.
I'll continue a little bit more on information on Colombia opportunities. So the next slide you'll see, and even if we don't get a chance to be on it for very long, I believe that Susanna said the slides will be available to be emailed to anyone who's interested in them. We listed a couple of very specific market opportunities in some of the priority sectors that I listed. I wasn't planning to read them out loud, but I did want to just highlight in general, especially since this webinar is part of a promotion of our upcoming US Women-led Trade Mission, that Colombia is a growing economy with a large population of women entrepreneurs. The Colombian government is actually committed to supporting women-owned businesses, and they have made really important strides in gender equity over the past 2 decades. It rose to a ranking of 22 out of 153 countries in the World Economic Forum's 2020 Global Gender Gap Index, and that's up from 40th out of 149 countries back in 2018. So the local chambers of commerce have also been working to support gender equity advances, and there's a much higher representation of women in public institutions and businesses here in Colombia than there have been over the past 20 years. So in short, Colombia is a friendly business environment for women in business, and that continues to improve, which is why you should definitely consider Colombia as a stop on the upcoming trade mission. So onto my last slide. It's about the upcoming events in Colombia, and you guys will get a copy of this, so I'll just speak to them out loud for now. So here it is, perfect. So as you heard from my colleagues' presentations, one of our core functions here at the Foreign Commercial Service is to identify and promote business opportunities for US business. And apart from trade missions, one of the best ways we do this is by facilitating face-to-face business meetings at international trade shows, both in Colombia and back in the United States. So if your business is in the renewable energy or green industry sector in general, please take note of the April Renewable Energy and Green Fair, which will be happening here in Colombia. If you're in plastics, machines, manufacturing, or provide tech or services relevant to a smart cities theme, please talk to me. We have an opportunity for you coming up next September at the Bogota Industrial Fair. And then finally, if you're in the agricultural machinery sector, there's a great show here in October that we would love to connect you with. So our specialists also recruit Colombian buyers and escort buyer delegations to trade shows in the US. What's pictured here on the right of the screen are just the shows that we're supporting through February. We actually have a huge filled up calendar through the end of the year, but I couldn't fit them all on the screen. So if you're interested in any of these shows, please do connect with my office and we'll connect you with the Colombian buyers who are attending these shows and help to facilitate those meetings for you. So with that, I'd like to hand it back over to Susanna.
Lisa, you're a star. Thank you very much for saving me. Right.
Oh, my pleasure.
That was tense. We made it through. Don't you just love technology? Let me launch a poll and see if I can get my slide deck to actually be show correctly. I wanted also to ask you in terms of where you're seeing Colombia, the reactivity, when I talked about that mobile first market, what that meant for you. Was that something that you saw as well? Is that something you see on regularly as well in terms of how business is done, how people react to things in Colombia?
Absolutely. Just like Tim was saying, WhatsApp is so important here in Colombia. If you are a US business who's never done business in Latin America, really recommend downloading WhatsApp. There's personal account and there's even a business account for WhatsApp. WhatsApp is used for everything here, including, for example, the Marriott on the coast. I went on a vacation there recently, and to book an appointment at the spa, you don't call the hotel and make an appointment, you WhatsApp the business account for the spa at the hotel. So just to give you an idea how that's done, everything's done with conversation over WhatsApp. So the other thing that we had talked about, Susanna, was how visual Colombia is. Colombia has some of the most beautiful graphic design and elegant logos and just in general visual presentations for businesses that I've ever seen. When you go to a trade show or a conference or an expo here, you're never going to see a stationary PowerPoint, unlike mine here. I need to step up my game to Colombian level, but everything is animated. Everything is really luxury and beautifully animated. So I recommend hooking up with a talented graphic designer before you start marketing your products in Colombia.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. And again, I just want to sort of segue into some of the online side that we're seeing. And I'm going to speed up a little bit because we are running out of time. And Diego, I know, has a lot to talk about as well for the trade mission. I wanted to give you some top-line headlines, and for me, Colombia even shows it even stronger than both Panama and Costa Rica. Look at the population versus the number of mobile phones. It's amazing, nearly 150% of mobile phones versus population. And look at the daily time spent using the internet. The US equivalent, 9 hours. Most Colombian, average time spent on the internet in Colombia is 9 hours. In the US, it's just 6.5. Average time using social media in Colombia is can be up to sort of over 3.5 hours. In the US, it's more like 2.5. So again, this very, very internet plugged in, social media orientated. And I wanted to highlight this as well. Again, so more stats. Sorry about that, but ads on social media is the #1 way that brands use, and that is for brand discovery. So people go on social media to discover brands, and that's not just B2C. That is a very B2B feature as well. And if you look at the engagement with the digital marketing and and these are all about these reactive mobile first markets. 58% of people online research the brands before they make a purchase, B2B as well as B2C. So again, you get these slides later, but I wanted to also show you a real life example. Sorry, this is Mexico, not Colombia, but it's just such a staggering example I have to share as well. So we were doing social media in Canada and Mexico. Canada can be a little bit of a frosty place for social media. Mexico's like the opposite. Look at the engagement levels. 1,000 versus 20,000. We had people in Mexico sending us baby pictures of things. It was just amazing reaction. And that was for a B2B machinery company. So with that, I'm going to whiz through this and then pass it over to Diego. We want to talk a little bit about how sales is looking in places, especially like Colombia, Panama, Mexico, and Costa Rica. Very much online first, very digital, very omni-channel and customer-centric. So when you're looking at a trade mission, one of the things you want to look at is where your online assets are and are they fit for purpose. So one of the first things we would recommend is that you set your goals, your objectives, and your ROI objectives, your return on investment objectives. What we also recommend you do is have a bespoke landing page to use as a sort of a trampoline, if you like, for your engagement, for your social media, for all your outreach. So it's a specific, a landing page allows you to write specific content just for your Panama or your Costa Rica or your Colombian journey and your objectives on that. If you're looking for distributors, then write a distributor page, all that. And for us, really, your website combined with online marketing is absolutely your best sales rep. So make sure that your website is updated, that it says, I'm going to Panama. Guess what, folks? Create event-specific blogs. Make sure your SEO is working. And with that, you need to shout out and tell the world, I'm going to Panama. I'm looking for distributors in Costa Rica. I'm looking for an in-market partner and prospective buyers in Colombia. Don't forget to announce it within your company. A lot of people sort of, they don't even realize that their colleagues are off to these places, which also concern them. Send a memo around. Anyone got any issues with any of these markets, let me know, because I'm going to be going there. And then obviously this localization, this localized website, respecting your local buyer persona in these markets. We recommend also what's called a content calendar, so that you are gearing up for a trade mission 6 weeks ahead of the event. You're starting to look at content which is specific for your trade mission and reaching out that way. Distributors see you, your brand is already perhaps known before you even get there. And we talked about a landing page. What does a good landing page look like? It is relevant to that event. So it is event specific. It's not about all the content on your website. It's about that event, that market. And it shows that you are able to perform well in that market and that you're attractive in that market and that people like your prospective distributors or prospective buyers actually want to engage with you. And always, always make sure that you have the right call to action so that people know where you want to engage. Is it a contact form? Is it a WhatsApp? Is it about testimonials? What's the next call to action? Social media, we've talked about how social media orientated these markets are. Be a content creator. Again, if you'd like more details on that, you can let us know. We can help you about that. But one of the points about this is to make sure that you're driving leads to the right place. You're driving leads either to your distributors or to a contact form that says become a distributor, or you're driving leads to your Shopify or your WooCommerce, wherever it is. But the journey is well mapped out through your landing pages. After the event you generally say that after a trade show or a trade mission, you're going to need 2 weeks to make sure all the data is uploaded into your CRM, your client relationship management software, and that you start to have a reactive email marketing campaign to and from the leads you met so that they don't go cold. This is a big investment. It's taken a lot of time. These trade missions take management time, they take commitment. Leverage them, make sure that they're working very well. And as I said, harness this CRM for these segmenting your contacts, making sure that they're in buyer persona, in persona for the ones you want, and then make sure that you become like a thought leader for that trade mission. And that very tailored email marketing campaign. I'm really whizzing through this, but anyway, you've got the slide deck, and let me know if you want any questions. So basically, a takeaway from this part. There's a before, a during, and an after. And the entire thing for a trade mission, we reckon, takes like 10 weeks, with 2 weeks after the event, a week during of the event itself, and 6 weeks beforehand of preparation, so that all those email campaigns and so on are just flowing naturally all the way through it. I'm going to try and launch a poll before, I don't know. How about this? Especially as I've messed up so much on the technical side, or GoToWebinar has, I should say. If you want us to have a look at your website today and see whether it is fit for purpose, this is a freebie that I'm launching in here, sort of a free thing. If you want us to look at your website and email you a so a 3-page report which says, here are the major points about it. Here's things that you can be improved. Here's it's about sort of mobile enablement, keywords, all of that. We can do that. And thank you very, very much. We shall definitely be sending you that by email for anyone who's there's lots of you who want that, so that's good. Okay, now I'm going to close that poll and at long last pass over to Diego. And Diego, please tell us a little bit about the mission details.
Thank you, Susana. If you go, yes. So you heard a little bit about the 3 markets, why you should be looking at Panama, Colombia, and Costa Rica. So this is an opportunity for you. If you see any of your industries or any of your products you think have a match or will be good for these markets, we're organizing this GDEI Trade Mission to Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia, March 10 to the 15th. And it's going to be in conjunction with the Opportunities for Women on Business in Latin America conference. If you want to move to the next slide, Susan. So this little bit of what you're going to expect, what we have on our trade missions. You're going to receive market briefings from our commercial diplomats or specialists. Not only these 3 markets will be there, but we are going to have about 17 markets so far. So you're going to also hear from Argentina, from Chile, from Brazil, El Salvador, like the DR. So these our offices in these markets are going to be coming in, and you're going to have the opportunity to hear about them, but also to do one-on-one meetings with them to see if you have opportunities in those markets as well. So in one place, you can learn about 17 countries, which is very useful for companies. You can see some pictures there. The one meeting is there with Brazil and the Bahamas, for example. So you get 20 minutes to talk about your markets. They already know what you do, and they will give you guidance if that specific market is good for you to pursue or not. During the conference, we're going to have some plenary sessions with very important information for you to gather. Everybody will be together at the time. I'll show you more about in the timeline, but you're going to have workshops, and you're going to have plenty of network opportunities. You're going to have receptions, lunch, coffee breaks. The coffee breaks we have is like 40 minutes long, so you can talk to people. You're going to be talking to other companies, sponsors, the officers, the team, and other companies as well. So plenty of opportunities for that. And then the business-to-business meetings as well. Like you're going to be able, for those ones that are going to be part of the U.S. delegation, you're going to be accepted at the trade mission. You're going to be able to do business-to-business meetings in Panama, Colombia, or Costa Rica, or 2 of those markets. So it's very important. We have a lot of content, a lot of information in just one small week, condensing that week. Next slide. So this, if you already registered, we'll kind of tell you a little bit more about it. But once you register, we basically we're going to be vetting your company if it's ready to export, if you have worked with us before, if your product's at least 51% has a US content. Once we get the green light there, we'll send the information to our offices, the 3 offices you heard from today, and they will give us a rating, like and some comments about your market, your company, sorry, and your product. So they would tell us basically yeah or nay for the markets, if it's a good fit or not. If it is, like if you see on the picture there, we're creating, with that information, we create a market assessment, a brief market assessment report for you with those comments, and we send that back to you. And if it's good, in this case that you can see, and actually AC Language School is part of the US delegation coming in to the trade mission, it can be very positive. So they decide to join the mission, and they're coming. So once you receive that report, you can decide if you want to come and join us. It takes about 2 weeks process. Hopefully we get, if you register today, tomorrow, or next week, we are going to close the 10th, the registration. So we're going to try to get it in about a week. Next slide. Yeah, the main thing and the one before is like, we don't want you to waste your time. We don't want to make you travel to a market that you don't have potential. So if we really think that you can have potential there, we'll accept your application. Here's the timeline very quickly. We're looking to have company arrive on March 9th, the 9th. You can also take few more days. We're going to have an agreement with the hotel that you can have the same special rate on the hotel a few days before, a few days after, if you want to stay longer in Panama and see things or meet with some companies. But the night you're arriving, the hotel is about 13 minutes away from the airport, very easy access. We're going to have on the next day, on Sunday, yes, you're going to be working on Sunday. We're going to start about 1 p.m. You're going to have one-on-one meetings at 1 p.m. to about 5:30, 5:40. Then we're going to go through the market briefing I mentioned before. And then right after that, when we got everybody get to know everybody, we're going to go to a reception, like a nice break reception on Sunday night. On Mondays, the main conference, we do have the plenary sessions in the morning, lunch at midnight, at midday, and then we have, we're going to divide the group in two. Some companies are going to be doing workshops, some companies are going to be one-on-one meetings that we did on Sunday. And then that night, we're going to go to the master's residence to have our main reception for the event. The following day on Tuesday, for those ones that are going to be doing business-to-business meetings in Panama, they're going to stay and do those meetings there. Those ones that are going to Costa Rica or Colombia are going to be traveling on Tuesday and have those meetings on Wednesday. If you're doing meetings in Panama and Costa Rica, for example, you would travel on Wednesday to Costa Rica and have those meetings in Costa Rica on Thursday. So, but we'll let you know all that stuff when we get to the point. Next slide. This is the cost. If you're a small business for the conference and the matchmaking for one market, it will be $2,800. If you're a large company, it will be $4,000. If you decide to just go to the conference, which has a lot of value as well, you're going to be meeting other companies and hear about the countries and meet different, like I mentioned before, 17 markets. The cost for that will be $500, but you will be missing the B2B portion on that. Next slide. And believe it or not, those costs that you saw, they're very, very low compared with the regular trade mission for commerce. Trade mission could cost about $8,000 or more. We do rely on our sponsors, and we thank them. You can see here the sponsors, and IBT Online is one of those sponsors, and we thank them very much because that helped us to lower those rates that you saw before. So we really appreciate the support and the resources that you bring to companies as well. And you're going to be meeting them in Panama. Next slide. Quickly here, Susanna, if you help me, we're going to go quick, but this is if you decide to sign up. I'm going to show you very quickly the steps because we have a new system and it is cumbersome for us and for you. So you're going to have these Susanna, you still there?
Yes, Diego.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, it's not showing the next slide. There you go. So very, very quickly, they're going to ask you for information. You put your basic information there, you title, the company, and then select your industry. If you don't see your industry there, just click Other and checkbox and Next Step. Go next slide. The next step is very important. You're going to select here. If you want to be part of the U.S. delegation for the trade mission, make sure you click on the green on U.S. company, U.S. exporter. And if you're looking just to go to the conference only, just click on the yellow on the conference participant. Both have different questions. So next slide. And depending on what you choose, you're going to have a set of questions. Obviously, the one with the best business-to-business portion is much longer, require a lot more information because we need that information. Our colleagues need that information to set up the matchmaking with potential customers or partners there in country. So be patient and trying to respond to those questions as much as you can. The next slide. This one, I'm going to go very quickly. If you never did an event with us, it's going to ask you to create a password, an account. So just move the next slide quick. Basically, you're going to go and set up an account for ITA for any future events. So you can move forward, Susanna. Next. Yeah, keep next to tell you to stop. Yeah, next. This is a small process you're gonna follow to get an account. Keep going. Next and next. Yeah. So once you create an account, the next step is you send the registration. It's gonna receive an email saying approval required. Once you get approval, you're gonna receive an email like you see here, and you're gonna submit payment. You're gonna click there when you're approved, and you get that message. And then click there. Next slide, please. We had more, but that submitting payment, there you go. You're gonna choose there. You have different options. The credit card is the fastest way. You can do it from a bank account, PayPal, and you can request an invoice as well. So you select that, and then you're gonna get the next page, number 11. If you see, you're gonna place the orders. You're gonna make sure you're the correct. I mean, in this case, it's just a business conference only. If you're doing one market, two markets, the price will be different there. You're going to place the order, and then it's going to take you to on the payment side on the credit card, and there you continue and you complete the payment, and you're in. And from there, in February, we're going to send you some information on a webinar we're going to be doing, Know Before You Go. So we're going to give you a lot of details, like how you need to dress or how you get from the airport to the hotel. To be honest, it's going to be pretty easy. Panama is a very easy market. I mean, they use US dollars. They have the same electricity. You're not gonna blow up your hair dryer or anything like that. And like in other markets, they have 220, 240 volts. So very easy place to travel to. But we're gonna be doing sending you more information about those specific things for the events to travel. So we're gonna help you to make sure that if you're traveling with us, that you travel successfully, and you have a very good experience in the market. So, Susana, with that, I appreciate everybody's information. I'm not sure if there's any specific question from the audience, but we do really appreciate your time, and we hope and encourage you to apply very soon, so before the 10, so we can look into your company and see if you have some opportunities there. Thank you.
Diego, thank you very much, and thank you all the audience as well. I'm just going to complete this with really just giving you the contact details. We've overshot our time a little bit, so I'm very conscious of that. There's a ton of questions as well, but I think it's best we answer you directly one by one. I'm also, pardon me, I'm not going to put my webcam on in case my computer or GoToWebinar doesn't like it. The first takeaway for us is get your online assets working hard. Your website and your online marketing are important in today's world, and there's a ton of stuff you could download for free on our website about that. The other main message is this amazing trade show to these 3 vibrant, interesting, US-friendly, exporter-friendly markets, Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia. And as Diego was saying, these are trade missions which have been, subsidized, and you get the door opened by US Commercial Service and Diego and his team there, and just holding your hand throughout the whole process. So I can't think of a better way if you're looking at these markets to jump on board. This last slide just has everybody's email address on it. You do get a copy of the slide deck, and apologies for the little technical glitch there with Lisa, and Lisa just handled it like a complete pro and just went through it. Thank you very much, Lisa, for that. I do recognize we've overstayed our time. Thank you all so much for staying. I wanted to thank Diego, especially as the team leader for that whole region, and for tirelessly promoting America's exporters and helping them in not just Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia, but throughout the region. Diego, thank you, and your team. Kayla, fantastic, and from that, and Lisa in Colombia, and of course Tim in Panama. Thank you all so much, and most of all, thank you all so much for attending today. This got lots of questions. We will be responding by email in due course. Thank you all so much, and hope to see you online and offline. Hope to see you in Panama. That would be fantastic. Bye-bye. Thank you.